Thank you, Speaker. This question is for the government representative in the Senate. Senator Gold, approaching September 30th, National Truth and Reconciliation Day, Canadians are increasingly aware of the many actions needed to reach a state of reconciliation. Today, I ask about the funding and policies to assist in repatriation of Indigenous artifacts and spiritual pieces from Canada and other nations to their home Indigenous communities. Some museums have done this for several years, some have transparent policies, others have removed their policies from their website. Years ago, the federal government gave funding to Alert Bay's Umista Centre and repatriated many magnificent large coppers which have been taken by the federal government during potlatches. That centre opened in 1980 and is amazing. What programs do the Department of Canadian Heritage and/or the various Indigenous portfolios have now to assist in ensuring policies and funding for temperature and security facilities for repatriating the Indigenous cultural treasures?
Senator Gold.
Well, thank you, Senator, for your question and for your continued advocacy in this important issue. I'm advised that programs within the department that can financially support the repatriation of Indigenous cultural property include the Movable Cultural Property Grants Program and the Museums Assistance Program. For example, in 2019, a movable cultural property grant was awarded to the Royal Ontario Museum to assist with the purchase of the Bond Head pipe, circa 1836, and related objects and documents on behalf of the Wik-Wen-Kum unceded territory. I also understand that the Museums Assistance Program provided funding for a national review of museum policies and practices, which was one of the calls to action resulting from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission report. A national repatriation framework for Indigenous cultural property and ancestral remains has the potential, in this government's opinion, to advance reconciliation and build a new relationship with Indigenous peoples while contributing to the implementation of UNDRIP.
Senator Bovey.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Senator Gold. I really appreciate that response. And we all know that Senator Sinclair often said, and words I've quoted many times, art validates culture. Does the government support this view, and will these actions taken thus far be increased in order to bring culture to this core aspect of reconciliation?
Senator Gold.
Well, thank you again for the question. I mean, the government understands that we all have a responsibility in this journey towards reconciliation, and that includes the repatriation by Indigenous peoples of their culture, their history, their languages, and their artifacts. These belong in Indigenous communities. The government fully supports the Indigenous partners in this process. For example, I understand that Beothuk remains were successfully returned to Newfoundland after 191 years in Scotland. There is still work to be done and progress to be made. The government is determined to be on that track with its Indigenous citizens.